The US state of Virginia has been called for Donald Trump in the first victory on Super Tuesday. It's the single largest day of voting in the US presidential primary calendar. Appears set to cement both Donald Trump and Joe Biden as the candidates for their respective parties. Our Washington correspondent Annalise Nielsen joins us live from a Republican watch party in Colorado. Annalise, Trump, as expected, has an early lead.
He does have an early lead, but this does seem to be coming in particularly early. What's interesting is a lot of Republicans have told me that they're not confident about mail-in ballots, early voting, but that seems to be why this is all coming Trump's way very quickly on election night. There's a lot of those early ballots are coming in. So Virginia's been called for Donald Trump. The latest at the time it was called was 108,000 votes to Donald Trump, 64.1%, to Nikki Haley's 57.045 thousand, which is 33.7% of the vote. So that was enough for Fox to call that state. Similarly, North Carolina, even with a small amount of votes coming in, they've now called that for Donald Trump as well, just based on that trajectory. It wasn't difficult, it appears, for Fox to call that one, saying that, look, there is no chance for Nikki Haley to take that state, despite a swing towards some blue districts around the suburbs, which were supposed to fall more her way. Super Tuesday, we see 15 different states, including Iowa, which has been chucked in there to round out to 16, because we're looking at their Democrat result coming in after a month's wait. They did that specifically to try and take Iowa out of the race for Joe Biden. Didn't seem to be too much of a problem. It's gone his way now anyway. But this is a big night in the US presidential primary process. A third of the delegates are up for grabs tonight that go to the convention where they have the confirmation for these candidates. What we look at on these nights too is just how enthusiastic voters are, and across the board it does seem like those voter numbers are down and turnout isn't looking all that good. You'd expect that on the Democrat side because it's the incumbent president going again with no contender, but for the Republican side it's not boding well necessarily for the November polls. What we do see though is questions around Joe Biden. Potentially there could be uncommitted votes being put forward by those in the Democrats. They did this in Michigan to criticize his handling of the conflict in Gaza. And Joe Biden was asked about this today when he was out. He's pretty much avoided the campaign trail. Jill Biden's done a bit on his behalf, his wife, but what he said was he thinks he's doing pretty well in the polls. He's not concerned at all about any perceptions around his mental fitness.
What's your message to Democrats who are concerned about your poll numbers?
My poll numbers, the last 5 polls you guys don't report, I'm winning 5 in a row. You guys only look at the New York Times. They're a great paper.
The New York Times Siena polls are quite comprehensive, and he has done well on some measures, but it's not really fair to say that he's won 5. You can see here this presidential poll from just last week. If the 2024 presidential election were held today, who would you vote for? Joe Biden got 43%, Donald Trump got 48%, and 10 didn't know or refused. But those numbers for either candidate included those leaning candidates. When we've been out and about speaking to voters over the last few weeks, out on the polls today, there was a lot of protest voting, a lot of people who were using the opportunity to vote as an independent when they wanted to send a message to the Republicans, even though they were going to vote Democrat. That's really normal in primaries. But what that doesn't do well for is Haley. Nikki Haley's pretty much been picking up Democrats who've been voting on the other side, and a lot of independents, which are valuable voters, but the Trump base still is very much a thing among the Republicans. We've been hearing time and time again that many Republicans who voted for him before want to see him again. They feel like he should have been in for the last 4 years, and so this is the moment to feel vindicated.
Annalise, appreciate that. We will talk to you next hour as those numbers continue to come in on Super Tuesday.